Hey fam, what's going on? This is Jessica Pickens. Welcome to Pickens Realities, our Blended Family Truths podcast.
Good morning, and welcome back to Pickens Realities and Blended Family Truths, where we talk about blended family matters because
blended families matter.
Yes, that was awesome, guys. Thanks. I am the greatest that there is. Give it up for me, Jayla. The best, the all-knowing, the best person that anyone could ever have as a daughter, as a mother,
my goodness,
as a sister, as a brother.
We're just so humble.
The best she got the best edges is what she has right now.
Clocking it, because we ain't bald-headed over here. This is by choice. What? Oh, okay, over there too, by choice. Clock it. Okay, who do we have here? We got some guests today, guys. Okay.
I didn't get a clap. Like, wow.
We did. Okay. We got some guests today, guys. Woo. Okay. Who
Scene
is
one,
this?
take two.
Who are you?
Oh, I'm Jeri.
You are.
I've been here before.
Yeah.
Mom. Well, bio mom.
Bio mom.
Ex-wife. Mother of Eric, Dom, and Jayla.
There you go.
Wait, you would.
And then
watch the head. Watch the head.
There's baby. Not disclosing the name, but the baby.
The newest.
Wait.
The newest grandbaby.
And it's not her baby.
Right.
It's not her baby.
Not her baby.
I'm Gigi, grandma. That's all.
Okay.
Good morning. I'm Wendy.
Woohoo! You know what?
I'm waiting to
Y'all
see it.
suck.
I didn't need a clap.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just Wendy. We don't keep it.
This is baby's mom.
This is the baby's mom.
Yes.
This is the oldest sibling's mother of the baby.
I'm like, there's more than one.
You're our pseudo daughter.
Yes.
No, forget that. You're our daughter.
This is my sister.
Well,
This is our daughter.
Okay. Next.
I am Tyrone. I am the matriarch of this.
What? No. M is woman. Oh my gosh. Not
my bad.
Patriarch.
Oh, I'm the as in Paul and Ma. Paul and Ma.
Let's just regular words. Oh my gosh. Can we not, y'all?
I'm like parent.
I'm like
padre.
Okay. All right. I'm Tyrone. I'm the father.
Dang, dumbed yourself down just because you couldn't be the matriarch.
He's just the dad. He's just the
just
man.
Bill.
I was just like that.
Capital
I'm just
Hill.
a girl.
Okay, we are not with the two of y'all. No.
Okay.
I'm Jessica. I'm the mom, the wife of the Pickenses. The current wife of the Pickens in this awesome blended family.
Yeah.
All right, Marche, why don't you let the people know what we're talking about today? Because we're switching it up.
I am not going to be mediating.
I was like, we have a guest moderator, mediator.
Our mediator is Wendy.
Not moderator, mediator. Uh-oh. It's going to be like that? We don't even know what we're talking about, y'all.
We are talking about me.
Oh boy.
Goodness. Are you for
I
real?
just work here.
I'm so serious. Congratulations. You played yourselves. Go, take it, Wendy. Take it.
So, topic though? Like
is it
like,
really topic,
she
Jayla?
came up with the questions.
yeah, but I mean,
It's literally topic me. I don't know what the questions are, so I can't tell you.
what's the premise?
The general synopsis is basically talking about my upbringing, things I've experienced, why I am the way I am.
I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, you know. This is one where me and Jayla gonna be on the same side because the DNA is right here and there, right here and there.
Whatever.
I just work here.
Mm-hmm.
So this
Praise
is
the Lord,
so we will name this Jayla's upbringing.
No, we will call this Jayla's interlude. I
Oh,
like that.
this is scary.
Oh,
This
God.
isn't a mixtape.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Okay.
All right, let's get it.
I'm low-key kind of... That's probably why I had a mental breakdown earlier, because I'm like, I don't know what this is going to be about, Jesus.
Moving on. All right, so the first topic is about accountability.
Okay. Thanks for tuning in, guys.
Hold on.
Thanks for tuning in.
Make sure you speaking to the mic. Yes, there we
so
go.
The first topic is about accountability for the parents. For the parents, do you feel as though you have taken accountability as a parent? Now, that's the first question. The second question would be owning up to those things as a parent. So
owning up to what things? So
for example, some of the things that Jayla has brought up to your attention, again, as parents, you have done this, I've experienced this. Have you owned up to that? Have you said, okay, I have done that, or I may have done that, or has it been a back and forth notion like, I have not done that, you're making things up?
Okay, so can I ask a question?
I was going to say, give us an
one
example. Yes.
Well, I can say that Jayla and I've had these conversations, but I'll let you guys ask.
No, but I'm saying for the purpose of our audience, though, we need to give a look. So if you can give an example, so that we can
example of like the tree situation, right? And
I don't know.
And we're
Jeri's like, this one's not mine.
I don't know that. That's all I can.
You're gonna have to spread accountability topics amongst the.
Well, yeah, that's fine. But so the accountability would be like acknowledging that something happened instead of like, no, it didn't happen like that. That wasn't like that. Okay. This isn't. And so now we're having a power struggle.
Oh, okay.
No. Just. I said, give an example.
Okay. So to that point, I'll go first since that is directed towards me.
It wasn't. If you said give an example.
No. So this is me because the what's that?
You have to start from square one, though, y'all.
I got this. So what's the 7-year rule about? I can't be charged after 7 years.
Oh my goodness. Statute of limitations, but it depends on the crime. But keep going.
I was about to say,
I know exactly what he's talking about.
I have served my time. All right, so I do not recall what the scenario was or why there was something that Jayla had done.
I went to Hannah and Colleen's house and wasn't supposed to because I got in trouble because I peed in bed. And
how old were you?
I was in middle school. Yes, y'all. I was still peeing in bed in middle school. I had a medical condition. Try it.
All right.
Relax.
So what had happened was, she broke a rule, and so when she came back home, I recall this. We were standing in the driveway by the basketball goal, and I said, "You broke this rule," and I don't know. This just came in my head. I'm like, tree or whooping.
No. No, it was. You came home, and I wasn't there. And I thought I was gonna beat you back to the crib. I came home, and you were there. And I'm like, of course. And so you've seen me, I've seen you. You didn't say nothing. Then like an hour or two went by, and then you was like, "Come on, let's go outside." So then you grabbed the basketball out the garage. We started playing basketball. And I guess in those couple hours, you're like, what am I going to do? Think outside the box. And here we are.
So I don't recall in my mind it playing out like think outside the box.
Well, I don't know what you was thinking, but I know it was like an hour or two after that situation happened because you made me finish doing my laundry, cleaning my room, and doing my chores.
All right. So at whatever point, I gave her an option to... for her discipline was to get a spanking or tree.
You're saying tree. People don't know what you like. Not hang her from a tree, y'all. Like we had a backyard with a lot of trees.
That's what I said. That's exactly. Did I not say that?
I mean, yeah. I mean, tree or you actually said.
Oh, because you didn't. Okay.
Belt or tree.
And I was like, dang, what's to the tree? I ain't never had that. Like, that's different. I'm thinking he wanted me to go grab a switch off the tree. So I'm like, okay, you know what? I'll take it.
You took the tree.
So she chose tree.
So she chose tree.
She thought she was Eve.
She chose tree. And so at that time, we had, an acre or whatever it was of property. So there's a bunch of trees back there. So I took her outside to the tree, and my whole point was to drive home. I don't know what I was trying to drive home.
Me either, child.
I was trying to stop her, making her think about breaking the rules because I knew that she was a scary child at that point. So I took her out.
What you mean?
Can you let him finish?
Everybody
Scary
interrupted
child.
me. This is my truth.
Just
What does scary child mean? Though?
let's stay
You were
focused on
fearful
this.
of the punishment.
Oh,
All right. So we go out to the backyard.
We know you bad.
And I don't know what I used what did I use? A piece of rope or?
I think it was something. It was literally like I think you went to the shed.
Yeah, it's a piece.
It was something from the garage or shed that could wrap around the tree.
Yeah, so it was a piece of rope. I wrapped it around a tree and then I tied a knot in it. And then she was like horrified. And so I walked, I don't know, it was 50 yards, maybe 100 yards. I don't know how many, 50 yards, 50 yards. And I walked back up to the house, onto the deck, and then I went in the house. Now, according to her, she was out there in her perspective, she was out there for perpetuity. According to me, I was.
No, she said it was at least like 30 minutes.
No, it wasn't that long.
But that's what she said.
That was her perception, and so I walked into the house, stayed there for a moment, and then I came back. And then she said that mosquitoes were biting her. So in her perception, she was out there for a lengthy amount of time. In my perception, she was not, because I didn't want to leave you out there like forever. So I did acknowledge that occurred. I do not acknowledge or don't agree with the amount of time, because I can be difficult, but I'm not that. I would not have done and left you out there for half an hour. That's my truth.
Not only that, but as kids, we don't have an idea as to what time is. So I can agree with that. So again, let's revisit the question. Do you feel that you have taken accountability as a parent today?
Up to date, yes. I've talked about it, correct?
But I don't think she was asking the question as in that one specific situation.
So
just things that we've experienced and we've talked through and all the stuff. Do you guys feel like me expressing myself to you and things that I feel like were done to me or what may have you, if you guys felt like you've acknowledged and taken accountability?
So I can say yes. I can say that there are a lot of things, especially since we began doing this, that have come out that I was oblivious to or I thought I understood, but I did not. And there are things, we talked about, recently that there was a conversation about why you are the way you are today as far as being outspoken, because back then, as parents, you would say, if you told the truth, you got in trouble. If you lied, you got in trouble. So you figured you would just lie because you knew you was going to get in trouble. And that's why your communication with us over the course of years has been broken. And recently we were in the kitchen, you and I think, do you recall this? When I was just like, man, I never really heard you or understood, but now I do. And there was one also in the car, you and I were driving, and I don't even remember what this one, do you recall that conversation recently? I apologize for something. I can't recall what it was, but there have been a lot of things that have come out, that, I take ownership of. You made the comment about the football. When you and Mom went to California and I was coaching football and I chose football over going to California, and I never knew the impact of that. I knew that you always brought it up and you always joked about it, but I never knew the impact that it had. And until you said it, when we did one of these sets, I never thought about, I could live to play and go to another game, but there was only one opportunity for me to go with my daughter and be there for you.
For that program. Yeah.
And I totally missed it. And I felt bad after the fact. I really felt bad. And to this day, I always tell parents, recently I was talking to someone and they were like, yeah, I got to do this, this, and that. I'm like, listen, you only get one recital. You only get one, band thing at school. You only get one field trip. The rest of that stuff will be there. But you miss something for your children that's important to them, not necessarily to you, but important to them. That could be scarring for the rest of their lives. And so I've learned that. And it has been a difficult pill for me to swallow, because I do genuinely love you, and I want our relationship to continue to grow and to be awesome. So yeah, there have been a lot of things over the course of the last 6 months that have come out because we've done this, that I'm like, man, I missed it.
I would say, instead of saying come out, it's just we didn't take the time to sit down and say, hey, we're going to purposely talk through our blended family stuff prior to doing this podcast. While we've had, I think, even before the podcast, we considered ourselves a pretty tight-knit family. Mm-hmm. We've always considered ourselves close to our kids. Our house was the house that everybody came over. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like, and even speaking of the California trip, I do recall that part of that is I think, I remember us talking about it, and I think part of why you thought it was okay too is because you thought it would be a good opportunity for Jayla and I to bond because we were struggling so deep. Mm-hmm. And so you kind of wanted to give us that space, but nonetheless, it wasn't at a point where she wanted that yet.
Right.
She wanted you to experience that with you. She wasn't, so it was missed it wasn't that you were intending, and again, had we just asked her, or had you just said and then responded correct? Because if you would have asked her, I think she mentioned, I know that she did when you said you weren't going, she expressed that being disappointed in that, but I don't think
it didn't resonate with me.
Well, and I think sometimes as parents, and this is a message to all the parents out there, you downplay your children's responses to a degree because you think you know better. And I think we did that in that instance, and it was wrong.
Yeah. And the other thing, and I'll let you all answer, but the other thing I recall we talked about a few episodes ago was the pom-poms thing or the dance thing. And so I think I owned it on that episode. And again, there's quite a bit, again, that I have recognized or realized since we've been doing this, that I missed it on a lot of things. Even as we talked about the boys, things that I missed it with on them. So, I apologize. I'm sorry. And so today, the moving forward, something that we've discussed several weeks ago, I can't make up for it, but I want to be as best a father as I can, considering the information that you've given me. And you're laughing at me, putting my heart out on my sleeve.
And my brain is just like, it's too late to apologize. It's too late.
The two of you. Lord,
so with that being said, that's from Dad's point of view. So from Mom's, the one topic that Jayla and I have discussed before was a situation about clothing. Mm-hmm. Something about Mom Jeri buying a slew of clothes for her for school, but Mom Jessica not allowing her to wear these said clothes because it either made her look fast or it wasn't something appropriate that was for Jayla at that said age. Mm-hmm. So with that being said, for, again, the question, do you feel like you've taken accountability with Jayla? Because if I'm not mistaken, with Jayla and she's expressed to me, like, I've said to Mom Jessica, why can't I wear these clothes? And from Jayla's perspective at that time, it was, you shouldn't be wearing those clothes. It's not appropriate. And then from Mom Jeri's perspective, it was, well, I bought these clothes. She should be allowed to wear these clothes. So I guess that's more of a question for you. Do you feel like you've taken accountability now with Jayla in that age? And I think you were in high school or middle school.
It was more middle school. But accountability. So for me, accountability is like and we discuss yet again, this is a topic that we've addressed on a recent podcast, right? In peeling through, and Jayla didn't understand my perspective, right? From there were a lot of dynamics and factors, and when I had the information that I had relative to my intention, and this is what I stated on the podcast, was to do the best that I could, almost from a sense of, at that time, feeling like I was making the harder decision to kind of protect her from herself, because there was a lot of things going on that I saw that from where she was and things that we were dealing with. We were dealing with deceit. We were dealing with lying. We were dealing with there wasn't good communication. We were dealing with behaviors relative to sexual behaviors that I knew if you didn't put some boundaries and ground rules in place and try to work through those things, it could just go way left and wind up in a spot where everybody gets to make their own choices, right? But if you're already in a mindset and you're in a place of not knowing who you are, not loving yourself, or you have circumstances where you're seeking attention for whatever reason, then clothes and how you looking and feeling about yourself can escalate the disposition of putting you in a mindset of seeking attention through your sexuality, right? And obviously, Jayla's been beautiful her entire life. Jayla's been shapely her entire life. And so do I take accountability for the fact that I never sat down?
Had a conversation.
I take, so here's the thing. Had I just sat down, had we had a better relationship for me to sit down and go, talk to me and tell me what's really going on. Because I would try to talk to Jayla. Jayla didn't want to talk to me. And that's the other thing, as being a bonus mom and being in a blended family, when you don't, or traditional family, doesn't even really matter, right? If you're at a place where you're trying to talk to your kids and they don't want to talk for whatever reason, or not being honest, right? For whatever reason, it's not an easy thing to do. Do I take accountability for coming from not understanding at that time that a better way for her and I would have been more the relational path of saying, look, we need to talk about this, right? Like, and that just didn't exist. There were multiple factors to where that didn't exist. So then I'm put in a predicament where I'm doing the best that I can at that moment in time with the information and knowledge that I have. How do I mother her in the way for my role, being her bonus mom, that and I'm day in, day out, trying to navigate all of those things. And it just, again, it wasn't that I was trying to hurt or harm her. That was never it. It wasn't that I was trying to, the stuff that I bought, it wasn't like I was out here trying to make her look like she was dressing in a potato sack, like that. That wasn't what it was either. It was more, how do I talk to her and provide her with the opportunity to still be cute and stylish, but in a way that was a bit more conservative than what the going style may have been, because I understood that on the other side of all the things she was experiencing, bringing on the male attention, and Jayla could be in a potato sack and she gonna get male attention because she Jayla.
Block it.
You know what I'm saying? Like, seriously, right? Like, we all know this. Jayla is Jayla, and she's just a phenomenal, person. So do I take accountability for missing it on, I wish I would have had different information and thought had help to try to figure out how do I connect with her without just trying to figure it out on my own? Absolutely. Do I feel like what I was trying to do was wrong? I don't, because what I was trying to do was help her figure out, help her understand that you can be beautiful, stylish, and cute without it being all of that with crop tops and skinny jeans and tight clothes, et cetera, because we were still dealing with the roots of some issues that, again, during this podcast, the root of what I thought it was, I was missing information.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So there were some roots of things where I was missing information that, had I had all of that information back then, the approach and I would have sought some additional resources to get some help and go through there. But and the thing I will also say, and then I'll pass it over to Jeri for whichever portion you want. But I think the other key is this, is that when you improving relationships, both people have to be willing to work at that. And that was one of our extreme challenges before. You see what I'm saying? And so even when I was trying to get through and have better communication, she just wasn't in a place at that time where it wasn't received in a way that would have even allowed us. Like there was so much that had occurred. There wasn't a level of transparency on her end where she was willing to open up to me about some of the root of foundations that was going on. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
It does. So with that being said, was there never a time where in your mind where it was like, maybe I should connect with Jeri?
I was about to say that. Yeah.
Maybe we can tag team and try to figure something out. Maybe there's something that she's telling Jeri that she won't tell me.
Yeah,
Do you remember times?
We weren't at that. Well,
okay.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No. My name ain't Jeri. You can answer the question.
No, at that time, we really didn't have communication, positive communication.
There was some communication.
There was communication. It just wasn't altogether positive.
Yeah.
Okay.
And taking accountability, it's not like I was out there, she gonna be in ratchet. That was never it. But because I knew she was stylish, I know, because I would talk to her, I would see. So when I would buy her clothes, I would have her try them on, and then I would say, okay, all right, we need to get a longer shirt because I want that to cover your butt. So I never dressed her or tried to dress her in a way that it was going to be provocative. But I mean, she is my daughter. So, I mean, she's voluptuous. So, yeah, she got it from both sides. So I would buy the clothes and send them. And when Jayla would call me and tell me that Mom Jessica wouldn't let her wear the clothes, and I'm like, whoa, what? And she was like, yeah, she took them and either gave them away or whatever. And I said, hold on, I paid that, what's going on? So, and when I would talk to Tyrone, because during that time, it was still a lot of contention. So I didn't feel like I needed to talk to Mom Jessica. I needed to talk to her father because that was our child. So I'm like, well, what's going on? Why is she not able to wear the clothes that I bought? Y'all acting like I'm out here just making her look any kind of way. And Tyrone would literally say, I don't know nothing about that. That just won't, I don't know. If you got a question, call her. I'm like, I don't need to talk to her. We're her parents. And if I say it's okay, and Tyrone be like, I don't have nothing to do that. If she says she can't wear it while she here. It means she can wear it at your house. I said, you know what? Not a problem. So when Jayla was at my house, whatever I bought, she wore. But I monitored Jayla, one, because I knew what had happened to me as a child and growing up. I watched her. I was very open with all of my children, like who touching you, who you letting kissing on you. I was that type of mother. So I didn't have a problem with asking questions. I made sure that they knew that they could come and talk to me about anything. But some things I didn't know was transpiring because there was no communication between the three of us. So when I found out that my daughter had been molested by my then best friend's son, I didn't even know that. They didn't tell me that. It was years later. Yeah, years later.
I don't know.
Who was the they that you were, because we didn't know. You found out. We found out when you found out.
Right.
What do you mean? Who?
I thought y'all had her in therapy for that.
No, I had her. She was in therapy because she was drawing inappropriate stuff in the sandbox.
No,
Yes,
that's not why I was in therapy.
Marche.
Why was you in therapy?
Yes.
Because of the whole situation with dude.
So why were you in therapy?
Because of the situation with, this is so funny. The situation with dude though, no, like, because I verbatimly remember that night that I came home and I was going up the stairs and like dad kept asking me, what's the problem? What's the problem? And I'm like, nothing. And then I just got to the top of the stairs and like, I'm bawling, crying. He's like, what's the problem? I didn't really want to say anything. Ended up telling him what happened. Then after all of that stuff happened, I remember I got signed up to go to the therapist that was across the street from Gold's Gym at the time. And that's where he gave you guys the book, Where Do I Come From? Because of that. And then like a year or months later, the whole situation that I was lied on about the freaking sand situation. So because it was more people against me, it was 2 against 1, Jay and Janae were telling, their mom that it was me and it wasn't me. So of course, again, doesn't really matter what I say because I'm not going to be believed. So it is what it is.
So I shouldn't say vaguely. I remember that. However, I think there's some fuzziness in the timeline of you knowing before we knew. Because if I recall, that situation happened at some party in a basement or something.
No, we were just it was all the cousins and we was at, what's the name house? And we were all there and we were downstairs in the basement playing like cops and robbers. And, that whole situation happened.
But you were a little bit
upstairs.
older.
No, I was like 6.
Right. So
that wasn't a little bit older.
No, I mean, well, I was thinking, I don't know why in my head it was more like the 7, 8 range because the therapy wasn't kicked off because of that. I squarely in my head.
I know for a fact that it was kicked off because of that, because the conversation that we were having with them, or I was having with the dude, when that situation was happening, sitting in that room, we were talking about what happened to me that night. Then he started asking if I had any thoughts or feelings or emotions of doing certain things because of that, or if I felt like harming myself or whatever the case may be. And I'm just like, I don't know. Like, I'm just sitting there kind of mute. And then that was my first encounter with the therapist. And he told me that he wouldn't tell my parents what we talked about. Then later find out that he told. So I was just like, okay, well, there's that. Doesn't really matter.
I don't know. I just know that when she told me about that and I instantly went to you guys and I'm like, why didn't y'all ever tell me this?
My record, and this is why you got to make sure you communicate stuff when it happens so that everybody has the same history and record of it. Because from what I recollect and understand, when we found out, you were looped in and it was very close to the incident, because I recall you obviously and then confronting the parent of the individual and whatnot. So my recollection of that situation was that you were looped in very quick. Because of course I had no relationship with, you know what I'm saying? Because the only way that she would have been over there was when she was with you. She was never with us. She would have never been in that setting.
Correct.
When that happened when she was having time with you guys.
Setting. We were just with family.
No, me, Eric, and Dom. I
didn't mean it like that. I meant,
but it wasn't like we
been
were with you for like the weekend situation. I think you just like came and picked us
in
up
town or something
or whatever, and then me, Eric, and Dom went with you. Then the day led on, and then we all ended up over there. And so it was me, Capria, all the cousins, and we was kicking it, having a ball. But y'all, I remember y'all ran to the store because y'all was going to go grab, I think, like food to make for dinner or something. So this happened when y'all had like ran to the store. So doesn't really matter anymore.
So when it was brought to my attention, I immediately reached out because when Jayla told me about it, I'm like, whoa, wait, why had that never been told to me? Because y'all already know how I am. You know, I'll fight a kid.
Right. She showed up at school to whoop a third grader before.
So I'm very protective about the kids. So when I heard that my nephew had molested my daughter, that sent me into a rage. And then I distinctly remember Jessica saying, we got this. We got her in therapy. And I was like, therapy? She's in therapy? And I mean, I'm just like oblivious. But because there was no communication, there was no accountability between us. There was accountability that way, but it wasn't accountability this way. So here we are, and we're having what goes on in my house is my rules, and what goes on in your house is your rules. And it was literally chaotic to a degree.
Yeah.
And that hurt the kids because what I deemed was okay wasn't okay with you guys.
Mm-hmm.
So what I allowed and would address to you guys, it was like, well, I don't care what she do at your house, but at our house, this ain't going, that it don't fly over here. And I'm like, y'all act like I'm just letting my kids do whatever they want. And for the longest, I literally, Jayla and Eric and Dom, they would come and tell me things. And I'm like, okay. So I would address it to Tyrone, and Tyrone be like, look, stop calling me with this. Start talking to Jess, because I don't know. I mean, this is our house. And I'm like, but these are our kids. And I never felt like there was enough conversations being had because I felt like Jessica was making her, Jayla, uncomfortable with her body. And I'm like, she over there body shaming my child, and you know,
that's not what I was doing. That's not that might have been your perception, but that's not
my perception.
That's not at all what was going on, because I chose a more conservative, from my perspective, a more conservative route. And again, you know, this is even some of the stuff that we need to sit down and hash out on camera, because I'm not going to do all that on camera. But I had a whole lot of different set of information of things that I was told that happened as a part of you all's divorce, that would happen while after y'all's divorce, before we met, particularly specific relative to Jayla and what she had been exposed to, information that I had. And again, whether or not it was fact, but this is what I'm saying. So there's a lot of things that we've never sat down so that you could understand what perspective I was coming from. And then with you saying that the kids would come and say stuff to you, they would come home and say stuff to us. And so that's the other, because and this is one of those things where it still is not a bit. It's painful to even talk about it now, because I feel like even as you're expressing that I was being painted or, you know, made out to be like the Wicked Witch of the East. And that's not how they acted in the house. And even as they got older and could communicate and were talking and whatnot. So, you know, you got a whole, we on question number one. I'm like, you got a whole slew of questions and whatnot.
And I'll say this for the audience and also for us. I think what we're displaying here is why, as best as possible, the need for parental conversation.
The adults,
the parental conversation is so important.
Yes.
So everyone is on the same page. You know, we could have saved ourselves
a lot of trouble,
a lot of trauma, a lot of contention.
Trauma, drama, all of it.
We
at least get into a place of civility and peace and understanding. Sometimes even, because again, everybody's perspective is their reality.
Yeah.
And you and I have had that conversation several times over the years, because you had one perspective of how stuff went. He had another perspective. Of course, the only perspective I was getting was his perspective as far as y'all's history, which played a lot into what knowledge base and where I was coming from and what I was working off of.
Men are always going to make sure it sounds good.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm out of here. I'm out of here.
So one last
Go
question
ahead.
before we move on, because Jayla and I talk about this all the time.
I'm going to stop y'all from talking too, but go on.
I think you should go.
Make sure your mic is close, Wen. So
We have this thing where we say to each other, like, what if our parents feel as though some of the pain that they've caused us, they just put it in the back burner? And that's why everybody has different perspectives. Everybody has this idea as to, no, that didn't happen that way, or it didn't happen at all. You're saying I kicked the dog, but I really just pushed the dog. You know what I mean? So it's like, do you feel as though that is something you have done as a parent? So for example, like the tree incident, maybe I just put that in the back of my head so I would forget it. And that's why I didn't remember it that way. Or the palms, that didn't happen that way because I just put it in the back of my mind. It wasn't that important. I didn't feel like it was that big of a deal. The clothes situation, it wasn't that big of a deal. I put it in the back of my mind. Let's forget about it. Let's move on. Is that something that we just kind of put in the back of our minds? And I'm asking this question because as Jayla and I are continuing to grow as parents ourselves, there are some things that we say to ourselves for our toddlers, and we're like, that's not that big of a deal. And then we try to sit here and we're like, and we will discuss it amongst each other, and we're like, well, don't do that. We're trying to break generational curses. Don't say that, or try it this way. So do we understand the question that I'm asking?
I understand it because a lot of things that even when I was growing up, we address it with my parents. And my mom be like,
you lied. I was wearing a purple hat that Sunday.
and I'm like, no, you had on this fuchsia. And no, it was purple. No, but we do that because you might see red and I see burgundy.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's everybody's perception. We see it different. But what affects us, we keep in the forefront. And what is not a big deal to me is a mountain for her.
Yeah.
So a lot of stuff that you two might have saw as that's just little. I saw it as big. And I saw everything big concerning them because they weren't with me 100% of the time.
Right.
Yeah.
So everything that happened when they were with mom and dad over there, it was like, oh. But I had to maintain this level of stable, copacetic, level-headedness when they were with me. And I would just tell them, okay, I'll talk to your dad. Okay, I'll handle it. I'll talk to your dad. And some things I couldn't even talk about because I was so mad. And I literally I would just go and, at the time I was married to Martin, and I would talk to him, and somehow it always got turned around on me. Like I had did something. I was like, I don't even live there. How did this?
Funny, G.
Yeah. So there was just things.
Your fault because you didn't cook me dinner last night. I'm joking.
So, everybody's perspective is different because we see things and we hear things differently. Like the situation yesterday about me coming to pick you up for church. She said we had a whole conversation.
We didn't even talk about that. We were sitting at the table. I said, I'm going to drive separately because we have Pilates.
I don't even remember that conversation.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And this is the prime example of what we sitting here talking about.
Well, and I just want to say,
it wasn't important.
You're asking, did we put something? Did we take stuff and put it?
Really?
Well, but for me, and I understand what you're saying, of course, because everything is going to be top of mind. I would be the same way had that been, you know what I'm saying. And as we've discussed before, oftentimes I would do my best to try to view it from your perspective, actually, because not being a mom and having your children and not having them, like you said, 100% of the time and not the majority of the time, that's a huge ordeal. For me, it was never trying to make something small or anything else. I actually feel like I overreacted a lot because I was trying to do a much better job parenting because of what I didn't have. And it was never trying to make something seem little when it wasn't little. It was trying to live life every day, raising 6 daggum kids in one house while working full time, while in school with a dog and a husband that you are still trying to get. Because that's number. And then at one point we had 2 additional girls living there, which, again, hindsight 2020 being, we did a lot of things from a good place in our heart, trying to help other people, that took away from what we should have been doing and investing just in our nucleus with our children. We moved in his cousin. We hadn't even been married for 4 months and trying to help someone else. And then, and it was too much. And it took away from, being able to focus on the kids. So it was never, oh, this ain't that big a deal. No, actually, a lot of times, stuff that I, you now that I'm older, and now I understand and have come to understand just within the last, I don't know, 5 whatever years, but I learned later than I wish I would have. But now I put it to practice all the time, because whatever I gave big life, big energy to, he would give big energy to. So I could have limited some of the things that I didn't like from a dad discipline perspective had I approached things more calmly and figured that out. I didn't have a base to come from that. So I learned that too late. So I never tried to minimize or forget or no, but we do. And the funny thing is, like Jeri said, it happens with her and her mom. It happens with me and my mom. Cause I'd be like, Mom.
Right.
She'd be like, no, that's not. I'd be like, Mom. Yeah, that's how, you know what I'm saying? So it was never. And so I don't know how to, what do? Keep a family journal? Here's the facts of what happened in this incident in this day so that folks can go back and I don't know how you fix that. But
it's not, you really can't.
Honestly, it'd be like, at this point, it ain't nothing to fix, because we all grown with our own kids. And we just don't want to raise our kids.
Obviously, because it's still, if you're talking through it with Wendy, which is awesome, because that's a path to healing. But when your perspective and your perception of how something went down is totally different from mine or from Jeri's or from your dad's, then it's hard to come to a place of healing. Again, everybody owning their part is huge for that. But if what you remember is significantly or, different from what I remember to a large degree, how do you, until you get to a place where we're at here, where you go, okay, well, we'll just kind of call it a truce, right? Yeah, and say, okay, well, I'm sorry for my part and how it went down, and then okay,
Tyrone.
I mean, we can apologize all day long about whatever situation, but in reality, there is no handbook. There really is no handbook. Just gonna say that. And a lot of times, our traumas as childhoods, as the parents, I was gonna say that too. See, our trauma as parents came from our parents, and then their trauma came from their parents. So it's generational. And as much as we try not to raise our children or throw our isms and schisms on our kids, it happens.
Oh, it does.
It literally happens. And unfortunately, sometimes they get the blunt of it, and it's not fair, but we've done the best that we could do. And now we've scarred our kids. I look back and I think about things that transpired with me towards my kids, and I feel like I've scarred them. And like, I'm very affectionate. I love to touch and hug. And then we have this one over here that doesn't. And I'm always wanting to love and touch on her, but because of the trauma that has happened.
But that wasn't you.
No, I understand that, but I feel like I wasn't there to help get her out of that trauma.
Right.
Because if I would have, then maybe she wouldn't be so brash.
Adverse to
brash.
I'll add to what Jeri
outgoing, spoken,
was saying.
Mean.
Oh, we know where she gets the meanness from.
Where,
Overly independent,
anyway,
crazy,
Go
deranged.
so
I'm
these
just
are
saying.
all of your traits. So, but what I'll say really fast, and I'm going to agree with Jeri on those 3 points because I was going to say that. Number one, there is no handbook for parenting whatsoever. And I think the two of you are recognizing and understanding that.
Mhm.
There is no roadmap, and you try to take some of what you were raised on and say, I'm not going to do this, I'm not going to do that,
Yeah,
I'm
you
not going to do
find
that.
what you want to do
Right.
that's the same, and you go, well, I need to do the
Right.
opposite of that.
Right. And the second thing was, we do pull from our history, from how we grew up, and we sometimes implement those things because, and Jeri, I think I can perhaps speak to this, but maybe not, and as well for you, Jess, but I can say this for me. I did not have